Hers is pretty. She's got butterflies on hers.
You want me to put butterflies on yours?
And bumblebees.
I can do that.
And a little hummingbird.
I don't have any
Anything else, Miss
hummingbirds.
Flynn?
Want a turtle?
You want one?
Ooh, I would like a turtle.
I don't know if I have any.
Since we're putting in requests.
But I can do the other ones. But I do have one in the car for you.
I know how to capture them.
Should I? Okay, next one. Just don't.
We all ready to go? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sierra Vista City Council meeting for May 23rd, 2019. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Rick Mueller,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Rachel Gray, Councilmember William Benning,
Present.
Councilmember Gwen Calhoun,
Present.
Councilmember Sarah Pacheco, Councilmember Carolyn Umphrey,
Present.
Councilmember Christine Wolf.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Tonight, we'll begin our meeting as usual with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, the invocation will be led by Father Del McCune from the St. John the Divine Church, and the pledge will be led by Ms. Wolf. Will you please rise?
If it's your custom, please bow your head with me. Almighty God, Father of us all, we ask for your spirit of wisdom and of sound counsel to be with us today in this chamber. We thank you, O Lord, for our mayor, for the council members, for the public servants, and also for the citizenry here today. We ask that your hand of guidance lead them in tough decisions, that the agenda set before them today might be very important to each and every one of them, that they move across this agenda with a spirit of cooperation and the ability to show love for this town. We ask, O Lord, that you continue to strengthen this town, strengthen its citizenry, and continue to bless its leadership. I say this in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Father, and thank you, Councilwoman Wolf. Item 1 is the acceptance of the agenda. Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda for the regular city council meeting of May 23rd, 2019 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now go to the city manager's report. Miss Victoria, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mentioned on Tuesday that $271,000 for public safety expenses related to CCOM was included in the draft state budget, and since then, it has since been included in the official state budget bill, so we are one step closer to final approval of that. And again, I'd just like to thank Senator Gowan and Representatives Gail Griffin and Becky Nutt, yourself, Mr. Mayor, and Sheriff Daniels for their assistance in getting those funds included. That'll be a great help to CCOM.
And I read this afternoon that they actually passed out of both appropriations committees from both chambers. So that means the next step is to go to the vote of the House and Senate.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. News of the recycling changes has created quite a bit of interest. Ms. Flassar and I were interviewed this afternoon by KOLD, Channel 11 up in Tucson. Phone interview with the Daily Star. Sharon completed that earlier, as well as AZPM Radio also contacted us for comment. So you expect to see those soon. An invitation to bid on City Hall remodeling was published in the Herald Review, May 22nd to the 26th. A pre-bid meeting has been scheduled for June 4th at 10 a.m. in the North Wing Conference Room at City Hall, and sealed bids will be accepted at the Procurement Division and opened at noon on June 19th. There's also an open continuous solicitation for individuals and groups to instruct classes, which has been posted on the city's website on the document server under bidding opportunities. Anyone interested to instruct any type of class for the Leisure Services Department should fill out the form and submit it to the Procurement Division. This will be an ongoing solicitation and has no due date. Under review, we have a statement of qualifications for Phase 1 of the Engineering Design North Garden Avenue and Fry Boulevard improvements. Qualifications were accepted at the Procurement Division until noon today. 2 firms responded, SCE Engineering and EPS Group, which are under review. And a request for qualifications for the Charleston Interceptor Access Manholes Project closed yesterday with 1 response from KE&G Construction, and that is also currently under review. The next budget work sessions will be held on June 3rd, 4th, and 5th if needed at 3 p.m. here in council chambers. And the next regular city council work session will be June 11th, followed by the regular council meeting on June 13th. I hope you'll join us this Saturday for the Sips and Skies Beer, Wine, and Spirits Festival in Veterans Park. City facilities, with the exception of the Cove, will be closed on Monday for Memorial Day, although the Cove will be closed on Saturday to staff the facilities in the park. Trash pickups on Monday will shift to Tuesday, and Tuesday's pickup to Wednesday. All normal trash operations will resume on Thursday and Friday. There's no special pickups on Wednesday. And finally, I'd like to wish everybody a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day weekend. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for the Assistant City Manager? Okay. Then we'll move on to item number 2. Ms. Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the consent agenda consisting of the approval of the City Council regular meeting minutes of May 9th, 2019, and Resolution 2019-037, appointment of Emily Moxley to the Library Advisory Commission, said term to expire December 31st, 2020, be approved.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or comments?
She's in the audience.
Okay. Welcome, Ms. Moxley. I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Congratulations. We next move on to a public hearing item. Item number 3, Mr. Benning.
Mr. Mayor, I move that Resolution 2019-038, an application for a Series 7 liquor license for Bradley E. Christensen, Margaret Logan Christensen, and Pamela Athena Calebric. We've had it all down.
Colabella. There you
On
go.
behalf of the Best Western Plus, located at 260 North Garden Avenue, Sierra Vista, Arizona, be approved.
It's been moved and seconded. Mrs. Adams, may we have the staff report, please?
Mayor Mueller, members of council, the notice of the public hearing tonight was posted on the North Garden Avenue address of the Best Western Plus Hotel. This is an application for a person and location transfer of a Series 7, which is a beer and wine bar liquor license. The applicant was background checked by the police department, and they have no objection to this license moving forward. There has been no comment from the public, pro or con, received, and if approved tonight, it will be returned to the state for final action.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. This is a public hearing item. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address us on this issue? Seeing none, I'll ask if there are any further discussion or comments from the council. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. We now move on to new business. Item number 4, Mrs. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2019-039, request to proceed with Golf Links Drive annexation, be approved.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Fisher, may we have your staff report, please?
Good evening, members of council, staff, and members of the public. Today we have a request to proceed for the Golf Links annexation, which includes 4 properties in the East Golf Links area, as seen on the map here. The city received 2 requests for annexation in this area, and following a survey effort, 2 additional interested properties were discovered. These properties exist within a county enclave, which is a proactive annexation area. These areas have been deemed as providing great strategic benefit to the city, such as economic benefits and connectivity to existing city areas, which allows for the logical extension of city services. Should the request to proceed be approved, planning staff will move forward with the annexation process, beginning with the filing for blank petitions and setting up a public hearing. That is all.
Any questions for Mr. Fisher? Yes, ma'am.
Just a general question on the proactive, is that the word you use, proactive annexation area? Do we wait for folks to express an interest, or do we make an effort to approach people in those areas?
Ordinarily, it is the policy of staff to generally work with communities in which we would want to annex in the proactive annexations. We don't sort of want to come in and sort of instill petitions blindly. We do like to work with community members who are already interested in possibly annexing, that already have an idea and already have connections with their neighbors to possibly solicit some of themselves. That way, it's not just sort of a government entity coming into a neighborhood that attempting to annex. It's a lot more of a community-engaged effort.
Thank you.
And I think that's probably a little more explained in our annexation policy. We actually have a annexation policy whereby we prioritize the fact that we want to get the folks that are in the within the city boundaries and immediately adjacent to the city before we would go outside, and it kind of explains how we do that process. So if you haven't dusted that off and read it in a while, you might want to do that, and I'd recommend that to the new folks as well.
Also, that's available to the public online.
Oh,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. Any more questions for Blake? Any further discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Fisher, good job.
Thank you.
We now move on to item number 5, Ms. Pacheco.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2019-041 authorization to proceed with an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Sierra Vista and the Town of Huachuca City for animal care services be approved.
It's been moved and seconded. Ms. Yarborough, do you have the staff report, please?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This intergovernmental agreement is an extension of the existing agreement with Huachuca City, which expired on June 30th. This will extend the agreement from July 1st until June 30th, 2020, and also provide for a number of automatic extensions. There's no other substantive changes to the agreement. And since the inception of the agreement, we've accepted 36 animals from Huachuca City, which has not impacted operations substantially. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Questions for Mrs. Yarborough?
I just have one
Go ahead.
question. Victoria, or Mrs. Yarborough, sorry. We're in a council meeting. So I noticed there was a posting in the last couple of days from the shelter where they are starting to get full, which I think happens a lot this time of year anyway. If, in fact, we do get full, what would we do with the overflow? Would you take them to Santa Cruz County and other areas, or what will we do with this?
Ms. Mayor Pro Tem, I will defer that to the chief.
Thank you. Normally, in those cases, they work extremely hard to work with other rescue groups to transfer the animals to different shelters or to different rescue groups. But that's why you see the big advertisements for the adoption events. That's the primary method of reducing the population at the animal shelter. But if they got to a point where they're getting overcrowding, they work very closely with all the other shelters and the groups to make sure they get housed.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other discussion from council? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It was unanimous. I didn't see your hand. Oh, okay, unanimous.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We now go on to item number 6. Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2019-042, support for the Tawano Odom grant application and approval to act as a pass-through agent for the Sierra Vista Volunteer Interfaith Caregiver Program, VICAP, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Mrs. Yarborough, may we have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Tawano Odom Nation requires approval by a city or municipal agency to act as a pass-through agent for these grants. VICAP has applied for a number of them over the past years. This application by them is for $10,000 to offset the increased cost in volunteer mileage reimbursement. If there's any other questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Yarborough. Questions for Ms. Yarborough?
I don't.
Any further discussion on the matter? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Again, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. We next move on to call the public. We have two members of the public that would like to address us tonight. Again, there's a five-minute limit when you address us. We have a series of lights that works up here. Once it gets down to your time being completed, I will ask for you to conclude your remarks. Tonight, first up, we have Mr. DiCarlo.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council staff, citizens of Sierra Vista. Good to see you all out. Start this that you gave me. Since a lot of the stuff I seem to say goes over your heads, I'm going to read this from the Understanding the Arizona Constitution. Arizona progressives founders valued local autonomy. Constitutional living his ability to interfere with cities and towns. For example, the legislature is prohibited from local or special laws that treat communities individually. Even more importantly, the progressives encourage municipal home rule, in contrast to the counties from the very beginning. Any city with a population of at least 3,500 could design its own form of government by drafting and adopting a charter or a local constitution. Today, Arizona has 19 charter cities that enjoy their own individualized form of government. The remaining 71 municipalities are called general law cities or towns because they must follow the governing structure laid down by the state statutes, which permit only minor governing structure laid down by state statutes. Oops, missed the line, sorry about that. In short, there's no single way governing structure for Arizona cities and towns, and therefore, however, there is for counties. And we've seen that locally when we've had some stuff there. But anywho, it only takes 14 folks to form a committee for charter. I'll also volunteer for that if anybody knows, anybody that wants to go on. We really don't need your permission for this because we are citizens and we actually run the government and you are representatives. And I appreciate what you do and how you voice our concerns. I mean, we may not always agree, but however, each of you do listen, right? And I personally appreciate that. My big gripe with government, because you know I always have a gripe with government, and it's only because there's no true liberty with tyranny. And tyranny to me is fraud, waste, and abuse, or missions, or things that can be done a lot cheaper, but are done to keep people employed. Sort of like the green recycling thing. Why don't we give away RV trailers to cities? Why don't we just have the local guys that do this already bid on that piece of equipment and let them have it and commercialize it? Okay? They can run the show. Maybe you can lease them the land, right? That way we don't have to change anything. Or even better, maybe they'll do it next to where the Sierra Vista Gardening Club is. That would be a real winner, right? So, things like that. Thank you very much, though, and that's Public Affairs or Public Works. I'm not at you, ma'am. Thank you for your responsiveness for the buses. Thank you for responding to what the people actually asked, right? We're never going to agree until those buses are full, and that's just my stance. I'll give you maybe 3/4, but if they're 3/4 all the time, there's $1, right? Quarter left, hey, that's yours. But thank you for your responsiveness. And take into consideration what you may hear later, shortly hereafter, maybe we don't have to use a bus. We got plenty of cars out back. All right? That's a lot cheaper way of doing business than what we're doing when we're just making special trips for disabled folks. And if we know who the disabled folks are, we've already identified, and we can map them out. Oh, sorry about that. Map them out where they're at. And you can save money because you don't have to have a CDL driver. You may have to have somebody qualified in CPR or being able to interact with disabled. But CDL driver, I at one time had one. It's sort of like the golden ticket, right? You get to drive things around or whatever. But it was it was a fun thing after driving a submarine. It's the closest thing I got to driving a submarine, actually, too. But I appreciate your time. Again, Mr. Mayor, thanks for your suggestion. My rebuttal on this would be, There is no measure of health well adjusted in a profoundly sick society. I say that as a veteran. But I do thank you. I thank you. There's some smart guy that said that. It wasn't me. I
Give them
didn't
a
just
try,
make it up.
just check them out.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And Adam, the mission statement on your opener, lives, property of citizens and visitors. The way you set it up is like you labeled yourself as security guards of city property. But thanks, man. Thanks for listening to me earlier, and I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. DeCarlo. Next up, we have Mrs. Diane Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor Mueller, City Council members. I'm back. I've only had 2 days to peruse the new plans for the transit. I will congratulate you for being able to cut your budget, your $100,000 that you said you wanted to do. My concern is the hour wait time. Because if you miss your bus due to, a few minutes being behind, or the bus may be a few minutes early, it's an hour wait. Some of the bus stops that you have, you're still having to walk to a block or two to get to a connection. My concern is for the health concerns for all our citizens. Those who have asthma, those who have health conditions that preclude being able to walk like me and my son do, using electric wheelchairs, manual wheelchairs, walkers, canes. Some of the stops do not even have a shelter. It's a pole on the ground. There is no seating. And as far as the shelters are concerned, they're full of holes. They do not protect the riders from the elements of rain, wind, cold, heat, hail, or it's made of metal, folks. Science says lightning is in metal or conductors. I don't care to be Kentucky Fried with my neighbors, okay? To lighten up the mood here, will the city be putting in porta potties, trash cans, and drinking fountains at the bus stops? If the bus is fully loaded, would another bus be contacted to pick up those waiting? As for myself and perusing the documents I did receive, I do not feel safe standing on a bus. Federal law requires for the aisle to be kept clear. Yet there are strollers, walkers, grocery carts, service animals that take up that space. We are passengers, not sardines in oil. Because there is limited wheelchair space, there will be some wheelchair passengers that would have to wait for the next bus. Now, in a nice day, that might not be too bad. But we live in the desert, folks. Our temperatures can go down as far as 32 below, and they can rise up to some days here, up into the hundreds. Overcrowding on the bus and the wait times and the weather issues, I actually see my son and myself doing a lot more walking instead of riding the bus. The way this is laid out, it is going to take me 45 minutes by bus to get home, no matter what time of the day it is. We last joked about the ice cream melting, but it's not just the ice cream that's melting, it's the meat that is spoiling, it is the frozen foods that are thawing, and even with the thermal bag, you have a limited time before these things start to spoil. My next question is to the city attorney. I do not know your name, so because it just says city attorney. Please do not be offended by this question. It is the only question that came up as I was perusing and wondering how the traffic flow was going to react to the new routing. Is the city liable for citizens injured using city-run transit service if, and there's always an if seatbelts are used by the passengers? It is something that I would like you to think about. I don't require the answer today. Maybe it could be, the response could be put into the newspaper for that question. My next question is to the Chief of Police. I'm asking you to have your officers check the bus stops on their patrols. We have elderly people, and if they get stuck and they're sitting out in the sun, the heat, with health issues, those individuals may be in distress. I'd like the city police people, the men and women in uniform, to check those people that are sitting there to make sure they're okay if they've been sitting there a while they're on patrol. No special time, but if they're driving by, they see someone sitting, check on them, please. Because they may not have the convenience of a cell phone on them, or they may be too dehydrated. I'm not sure. I next ask...
Mrs. Thomas, your time has expired. I would ask you to conclude your remarks, please.
Fire Chief Jones, what can the passengers do to be health smart with the weather-related wait times? I'd like to not have you running all your paramedics all over the place. I know we have 3 wonderful setups. In closing, what looks good on paper does not necessarily work in the real world. Is this council willing to expand the service as growth continues under this extraordinary skies and the uncommon ground of this city we all call home? I thank you for your time. I doubt seriously that you will see me again unless another issue comes up on the rerouting of the bus, but I do thank you for your time, and please, I'm just only thinking about the other members of this community who do ride the bus.
Thank you very much for your comments, and we have your written comments too. I know you didn't get through all of them, but we have them, and we'll make sure they're part of the record. Last person scheduled tonight is Mr. Manolas.
Right.
Did I get it right?
That's pretty close.
Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, citizens of Sierra Vista. I'm a first-timer here, so please forgive me if I mess it up. I'm Ted Manolas. I'm from the AARP Foundation Tax Aid Preparation Service. I'm the local coordinator for Sierra Vista. And I'm here to ask City Council to reconsider evicting us, the AARP Tax Center, from the Oscar Run Community Center, or help us find another venue for 2019 tax filing season, which starts February of 2020. I sincerely thank the OYC for providing office space for the last 20-plus years. The office staff has been welcoming and have been a great help to us at all times. We generally serve senior citizens and low-income families, but we file taxes for anybody who comes through the door. All of it is done completely free, and that includes the e-filing. This year, our 28 volunteers filed over 1,280 each federal tax returns and state tax returns, generating over $1 million in federal refunds and $281,000 in state refunds. Our Sierra Vista filers comprise about 70% of the total, while another 20% are from Hereford and Huachuca City, so that's 90% from the local area. The other 10% are from outside our local area and the few snowbirds that we service as well. On May 6th, I was notified that due to some changes in the Sierra Vista Leisure and Recreation Department, we won't be able to use their facility. I understand the reasoning was they have a new state law in Arizona that requires a visitor center to have 1,200 square feet of area. So they're expanding their visitor center from its present position in the OYCC out into the main lobby area that we used to have our people waiting. However, they said the room that we typically do the taxes in, was not being affected, and we can do about 4 people's taxes and review another 2 in there. What I tried to do with the staff was try to get with them and coordinate uses of some of their other areas on a rotating basis to house our people that were waiting. They kind of flatly refused me. The reasoning, I understand it, is that since AARP tax aid is not a Sierra Vista program, we don't want to schedule you into any of those spaces because it would prevent other Sierra Vista programs from using it. And also, since tax aid is not a leisure or recreation activity, it shouldn't be it should be located elsewhere. Again, I can understand the reasoning for that, but I was kind of surprised at their inflexibility to talk to me. I will say that Ms. Wilson did meet with us last year and let us know there was a possibility of our moving, and I appreciate her giving us at least 8 months warning here to make the switch. I'm not necessarily asking to stay in the same location, but I am asking for your help if you can think of a way to provide for another location. The things that we require, approximately 950 square feet of space, either in 1, 2, or 3 rooms, 60 chairs and about 10 6 to 8 foot tables, access to internet through a cable modem system. We do have secure routers that we attach to that. Place to store 4 cabinets to hold our computers, printers, monitors, supplies that we would normally leave at your facility, either temporarily or permanently. They have been at the OYCC for the last 20 years. Tomorrow we will be moving them to a storage unit to get them out of their way. We would need this facility 31 January to 16 April of 2020 and the following years. Our typical client service hours are 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and we're usually done with cleanup by about 3:30. So since we are a nonprofit and don't collect for our services, we have no funds for facility use. By now you're asking, okay, what's in it for us? Well, honestly, not much. As I said, we can't pay you. If we have to move, our longtime clients might be confused come tax time next year. I think a lot of them will be showing up at the OYCC, and you'll be saying, okay, you need to go someplace else. If you can manage to keep us at the same facility, we'll let the public know you cared enough to work out a plan with us. Please don't dismiss this out of hand. Everything is negotiable, and I or my representative would love to meet with you and discuss our requirements or to help us find a place where we can work together for the good of our city. I come to you right now at this time. I just found out, again, a couple of weeks ago. I would have tried to go through more channels to get here, but I leave Monday for the summer. And I will be contactable via phone or email during that time, and I would be glad to come in and meet with anybody come September when I get back. Thank you all for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate you listening to me.
before you go, I want to tell you some updates. I got your letter from your group this week. I went through it and talked to a number of the folks. One of the things that caused this is the fact that the State Tourism Board decided arbitrarily that all visitor centers would have the same standards, and they did not talk to all the rural folks. And of course, the rural folks, when they learned about this new requirement with no money or no compensation, et cetera, they pitched a fit, as you might imagine. And so we're now in the process of talking with the state tourism folks about what their standards are, what they should be, how it needs to fit both the large urban cities as well as the small rural areas. So I guess what I'm telling you is this is in a state of flux. I didn't send you an eviction notice, just in case you noticed, okay? You said you were evicted. But essentially, it's up in the air right now. We need to continue to work. We think this is a valid service. And I was quite surprised by a number of the services the city is providing your organization when I read your letter. I think the most concerning is you do keep records, and I have privacy concerns if something would go missing. There's some issues there that I think we need to talk about. So I think there's more to discuss than just space and time. It's clear you have provided a necessary and a beneficial service to the citizens of the city, and I think the council would support you to continue to doing that. The question now is working through with the tourist folks how we best do that, and maybe Oscar Yaroon itself is not the best location, even though that's what you used for years. Maybe there's another facility, either city facilities, or we can work with other agencies to help work with you to identify other agencies that may be able to provide the space for a longer term issue. So we're willing partners, is what I'm here to tell you. And it's an issue that we're working at the state level. We need to work with you. We need to work with our own programs so that we don't cut our own programs out as well. So there's a challenge there, and I hope we can work as partners together to get that resolved.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll next go on to comments and requests to council. And we'll start tonight with Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first thing I want to say is I just want to congratulate everybody who is graduating this week. We have quite a few of them. I just want to say, please celebrate safely, because I know at least I am counting on you to be one of my doctors in the future. It's very important. Be safe. Enjoy all of the Memorial Day celebrations that are going on around town this weekend. Please remember why we have Memorial Day, and overall, just be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. Ms. Pacheco.
All right. I echo congratulations to the graduates. I'm looking forward to project graduation tonight. It's an amazing thing that our community puts on for the high school kids. We did not have this in my high school, so pretty awesome. I'm also looking forward to a busy, full weekend in Sierra Vista. So all the people who say there's nothing to do here, you're wrong. I'm looking forward to Sky Island's challenge. Hopefully, I don't have to get airlifted off the mountain. So thoughts and prayers on that. It will take me a very long time, but I'm going to do it. Not all three, just the one, so I'm looking forward to that, and then hopefully recovering at the Sips and Skies very slowly, and to the many, many Memorial Day observances we have available to us to attend here. Remembering why we have this holiday is really important. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ms. Pacheco. Ms. Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll see you at project graduation as well. I think we got suckered into the late shift, but it's a great program, and it's a safe activity for all the Brana graduates that will be receiving their diplomas in like an hour. And congratulations to them and all the other Sierra Vista Unified School District. Special shout out to my now 5th grader and 2nd grader. Another year just flew by, and I'm super proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Humphrey. Mr. Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, a big smile. My daughter's home from ASU, so this is the first time she got to see me on a dais, so proud father. I want to reiterate, too, what everyone has said about Buena. Great night to see these young adults move on and start their career and hopefully bring stuff back to Sierra Vista. And ladies, don't worry, I'll be right there with you. I think I got 12 to 3 or 12 to 4. Or are you smarter than a 5th grader? I'm not, but I'll be there. I want to say congratulations to Emily. Welcome aboard. Thank you for stepping up. I'm looking forward to spending some time at Sipping Skies Saturday. I'll be there and with bells on. And I also want to thank Ms. Flissar and her team. The last couple weeks shows a lot of our city staff, and what we're capable of. One of the biggest things when you implement something is to make sure you evaluate and you follow through and see if something's working. And with what they've done with transit, it shows that they care and they're following up. So it's really appreciative to see that. And I wanted to let Ms. Diane know, a lot of your concerns, we're going to track and make sure we have the proper things where we need them. We're going to make sure you're not going to bake out in the sun. We're a community of one, meaning we're all the same community. So anytime you want to come up and talk to us, God, just come on up here. The mic's yours for 5 minutes. And but yeah, for Ms. Flissar, I just appreciate it. Thank you so much. And that's all, Mr. Mayor, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Benning. Mrs. Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to congratulate all of our seniors. I want the seniors to know that the community really cares about them, and we are proud of those who go off to school or go for certificates or jobs in various locations around the state. We're always very, very happy when you come back to live and raise your families here. And we look forward to you coming back. So let your fellow graduates know that the community cares about them, and we want to see them to be successful in life. I also would like to congratulate Ms. Moxley. Congratulations and we thank you for your service to the community. I want to also announce that the Environmental Affairs Committee is still looking for nominations for the Environmental Merit Award. You can find out more information about that award on the city website under Boards and Commissions. You can click on a description of what that award is about and the forms to fill out. And don't hesitate to nominate yourself if you feel like you're doing something that merits the Environmental Merit Award. I also want to comment, do you need to leave? Oh, I'll just be another minute or two. Last Tuesday morning, we went to say goodbye to a really important man in our community. His name is Captain Chaucer. He led the captain's classes in their captain's career course in their efforts to clean our community by performing that community service. And they would, in conjunction with Bryant Sayers and Jessica Vanoy, who's with our Community Development Department, they would coordinate, or Bryant would coordinate where the captains would go to do cleanup once a week. And it was extremely beneficial to our community. It kept it really clean, and we happened to be there Tuesday morning when Captain Chaucer was to say goodbye to Captain Chaucer. And I think they had collected about 12 bags of trash just from the city park over the past, I don't know how long it had been since the previous cleanup, but they had done an excellent job. And we wanted to welcome Captain Anna, I didn't catch her last name, who will be the new leader for the community efforts of the captain's career class. So we welcome her, and we'll go out a couple of times and see how they're doing. I want to wish everyone a safe weekend. Oh, and I also wanted to say to the gentleman from AARP, you know, you commented that you had been able to help your clients to recover over $1 million in taxes. I have a feeling a lot of that money gets spent in our community. So, you know, what a economic development effort that is. So we do recognize, we all recognize the importance of the work that you do, and I hope we're able to work out something that is extremely beneficial to both of us. So, and thanks, Mayor, for that. And I believe that's it. So have a great weekend, and I'm over and out.
Thanks, Mrs. Calhoun. Mrs. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just also like to say congratulations to all the graduates tonight and to my mom friends who have kids going into high school and are super depressed right now. I have wine at my house, so come on over. And also just everyone enjoy the Sky Island tour. I will not be doing it, but good luck. Good luck, Sarah. And enjoy Sips and Skies as well. And I know that'll be a great event. Laura and her team always do the events really well, so I know that'll be great. I'd also like to thank Sharon and her team on their responsiveness to comments regarding the transit system. I was very impressed with that and appreciate that also. Then I would just lastly like to say on recycling, we've seen a lot of comments and heard a lot of comments and unfortunately surprise over the decision in the last couple of days, and just like the public to know that this isn't a choice that was made lightly. We as council, the staff, we all have talked about it. We've looked at every option we could, and unfortunately, this is the option that's available to us at the moment. We hope that in the future, recycling will come back and be viable for us to do. I think there's not a person in this city that doesn't want to be good stewards of the environment. So we're going to hope that that comes back. But I would just ask people to trust that We're not trying to make money. We're not trying to just cut expenses to cut expenses. This is just where we're at right now. And also everyone to have a safe Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I do have a couple things, and I would apologize for repeating some of them. First, congratulations to all the Buena grads out there. I also want to give congratulations to the Rotary clubs and all the folks that are involved in making sure our grads are safe tonight with the big party that's going on. I think that's a great thing that happened a number of years ago and continues. Memorial Day weekend is traditionally the first weekend where we actually have the families off for the summer schools. Out in most cases, people travel. So by all means, as you're traveling, watch out for the other guy. Take your time. Don't get overwrought. We want you to come back to Sierra Vista if you're leaving. If you're staying, we got some activities for you in town as well. But also be aware that on the holiday weekend, sometimes you have people wearing blue uniforms or county mounting uniforms out there doing road checks. So watch your drinking and your sobriety as well, because you don't want to spend extra time in the county hooscow. Tonight at 6:30 in the park, we have, I think it's Bill, I think I may have written this down wrong. It looks like Bill Easley is performing tonight at 6:30, so that would be a good event to go to. Summit Challenge was mentioned. I will not be doing the challenge, but I may stop by on the 25th in the park and sample some of the adult beverages that are being offered there as well. On Monday, Memorial Day, again, as has been stated, is a very important day. At 8 o'clock at the Sierra Vista Veterans Memorial Cemetery will be a ceremony, as well as on the Old Post Cemetery at 11 o'clock. There's also a ceremony, I think it's sponsored by the VFW, at the cemetery on the east side of town, and I'm not sure what time it is. I apologize for not having that for you tonight. The other event I want to talk about is June 1 is a family film night again at dusk, and it's The Incredibles 2, I believe. So it should be a great event for the kids and the entire family.
You remembered that.
Yeah. Well, I got it written down. Sometimes I can't read my writing, though, so that's a problem.
No, you love the
So, again, have an enjoyable and safe Memorial Day weekend, and take time to remember the reason why we celebrate those who we remember on that day. Seeing nothing else before the